Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here at our October monthly meeting where we have some great special guests. They're going to introduce themselves, but you're going to get a lot of great information tonight on our BRRR method. And don't let this last R at the very end fool you. There is another R. It's repeat. So we missed that and you're going to see it soon. So we're going to get into the BRRR method, but we do want to highlight some events that are coming up. These are our next meetings coming up. We have a workshop with REI Black Book on Wednesday. And our next monthly meeting, we're going to dive into Airbnbs. So I would highly recommend attending both of those. And we will give you a heads up if anything other than those events come up. But that's what we have coming up for right now. And you can always check it on bria.com/upcoming events, and you can see our calendar of events there. We're actually going to be doing a charity event. We're helping sponsor the 2021 Soldier Rush, which is going to be a great place to either participate in a 3.1 obstacle course or donate. So please go ahead and check out soldierrush.com. You will also be able to see this on our calendar of events. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful event, and we are super excited about it. So please feel free to look into that a little bit more. We're really excited about it. So I hope you guys are too. We do have a giveaway tonight from our gracious guest this evening. Brian from Home Depot is going to be giving away 3 Home Depot swag bags. You will be texting the letters REI to 954-737-3239. And don't worry, I'm going to put all of this information in the chat for you all. So don't worry if you don't take this number down. Check the chat in a couple minutes. I'll be putting helpful information in there throughout the night. I do want to ask you all to be putting your questions in the Q&A section, since I will be putting lots of helpful information in the chat, and your questions will definitely get lost in there. So please go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A section. We have a very special thing to announce. I want Anish to take this one. We're just super proud of Harry and Victoria. I want to congratulate them myself, but I'm going to let Anish take over this slide for you guys.
Yeah. So we are beyond excited. You know, Harry and Victoria have been part of BRIA for 8+ years. They're advanced students. Besides the millions of dollars that they've made, they've helped out hundreds of family families, whether they're in foreclosure or just to get out of their situation. And they're always putting, homeowners first. And, first of all, they're also very generous people. So what I'm really excited about is that National RIA, and if you guys are members, you're probably going to get a newspaper from National RIA. They picked Harry and Victoria as our member spotlight. They were chosen out of 40,000 members nationally. They did an unbelievable article. I got a preview on it. It's awesome. So they only pick 4 people a year, and there are winners, or the people that they picked this year. And hopefully you'll get to see them in the meetings, read the article. I don't know, it's pretty awesome. I was even moved by it. I was like, I didn't even know everything about this. So again, Harry, Victoria, way to go. And thanks for actually helping and put BRIA and Miami-Dade RIA on the map. So now people are calling. I even got a couple of calls like, hey, what the heck are you guys doing down there? So I try to take all the credit, but unfortunately I'll take no credit. That's all these guys. So congrats, guys.
Yes, congratulations. We love them. They're amazing and so proud of them. So happy for them. So we also have, sorry, this fireworks. We have a deal spotlight. Again, Anish will highlight this. This is a part of our mentoring program. If you do want more information about our mentoring program, I am more than happy to have a phone call with you. And I will definitely put my contact information in the chat for you all, so you can reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about it.
Yeah, just another wholesale deal making 70,000 plus, but yeah, not bad.
Awesome, cool. So yes, please reach out in regards to our mentoring program. Love to talk to you about the one-on-one coaching. that we have available. And again, we always want to thank National RIA for all of the benefits that they give us, many different corporate vendors that we've been able to partner with and benefit from. So if you do have any questions about a membership to RIA and Miami-Dade RIA and how we're connected with National RIA, again, please give me a call and I'm more than happy to help. So, all righty.
So we're excited, we have a couple panelists on it, and I'll kind of, run through the names. Antonio Lopez has been a senior student. He's been crushing it, and we're going to be highlighting his deal. I have to call him Mr. Regan. I don't know if I could call him Paul yet. When, you close, $6-7 million of loans per month, we call him the money man. So we're just having some, if you're not getting good numbers on your rates, we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. While you're refinancing, you're going to definitely want to talk to Paul. And then, of course, we got Brian. I nicknamed Home Depot Aguirre. So, small little company called Home Depot. We are very lucky to have Brian. He is our national RIA rep. He was hoping to come down and visit us right now, but obviously we're not having in-person meetings. But for him to even be hanging out with us, and he's going to give us about 5 or 10 minutes of telling us what's been going on with Home Depot and some of the new products and some of the things you've been up to. The other thing I didn't know, which was, guess what? He's actually a real estate investor, and he owns 11 of his own properties, and he's been BRRRing out, doing these deals. I wish I could roll my R's. I'm going to leave it to you Spanish guys to roll the R's, but the Indian guy can't roll the R's. So let me pass it on to Brian. If you want to tell us what's new with Home Depot and National RIA, that would be great.
Sounds great, Anish. And Alexa, thank you for the introduction as well. And definitely rolling the R's is something that with my last name is not easy to do, but it's Aguirre. If you could roll the R's, Aguirre. I've heard many times, so good one on that. But certainly, really just thank you to all the members of the Association of RIA. And so great to hear about some of these stories and how the members are succeeding. We know everyone is pretty obvious. The Southeast Florida market is a hot market to buy and hold, fix and flip, or provide housing for the massive migration of folks that are continuing to move to the great state of Florida. And we at the Home Depot just want to thank you for your business at the local stores. To Anish, as Anish mentioned, Brian Aguirre, National Account Manager for the Home Depot Pro, and I manage our partnership with the National RIA and BRRRR. So I'm going to leave my contact information. If there's anything I can do to support you and your business, if there's been a bad experience, I apologize for that ahead of time, but we want to earn your business on this journey, whether you're a beginning investor or you're an experienced investor. Super excited to hear about Antonio's story with his BRRRR. And that's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. And we want to be a part of that journey as your sole supplier and trusted advisor at the Home Depot. So when you need those materials you need, the services you need to get in and out of our stores, we have what's called Pro Extra. And I'll tell you, as Anish mentioned, being a rental owner myself that provides housing and actually has done many BRRRRs, I'll tell you, Pro Extra has made my life a lot easier. And I just encourage you all to download Pro Extra. Real simple to do. Actually text in the chat. There's a quick option for you. You can text the word Pro Extra to, here we go, to 433768. And it'll give you the registration information for those of you that haven't registered. But if you're a member of BRRRR, here's what's in it for you. You get a 2% rebate with all sales over $5,000 per half, and then 20% off in paint, liquid, and stains from $1. Normally, that would take you about $7,000 to $8,000 in sales and paint alone to get. So we really like to promote and tout that. You may be asking, well, hey, why don't you tell me about this when I run into the stores at Home Depot? Well, the benefit is for you, the member of BRRRR, because we work with the chapter and we've been partners for years to just know, and work with you so we can grow and help you grow your business. So that's one of the benefits you get, exclusive member benefits with being a member of BRRRR. So take advantage of that. Register for Pro Extra and take advantage of so many more benefits. And here are some of those benefits, right? Within the Pro Extra experience, the whole loyalty program, not only can you shop online and pick up in store, but you can also take advantage of perks. So you spend, you unlock, and you get to choose the benefit of either a credit towards your sales or a tool rental. And I'll just share the screen here really fast. So here is a view. Nish, thumbs up. You're seeing the perks. Okay. So this is just a snapshot of some of the benefits you get when you register for Pro Extra, you become a member of BRRRR, or if you're already a member, you may not be registered to Pro Extra. So I encourage you to work with the team, Alexa and the entire BRRRR team to get registered. But as mentioned, perks is one of those benefits. Today, I've got it probably about, I think about $500-600 in perks I haven't even touched yet. One of those perks that really excites me is the tool rental perk. There's just some tools that I don't own and I don't plan on owning. Or there's instances where you need a pressure washer. Hey, we at the Home Depot, the tool rental department, we have that for you. You can use those sales and that perk towards that as well. You get to view, then redeem, and then use that at the Home Depot. And some of the other benefits you get is our bid room. So once you register for Pro Extra, you get access to shop at our pro desks to take advantage of the bid room. I hope Antonio had a chance to use that for his BRRRR, but if not, going right there you go, he's shaking his head. So that's another awesome benefit you get, which means you can take that scope of rehab, take it to the pro desk and say, okay, here's what I'm buying: appliances, light fixtures, switches, receptacles, laminate flooring, paints, right? All of these things we're purchasing. I now need the best price on that. And our pro desk will submit it through the bid room and present you back with a pretty competitive bid that gives you savings off of the different categories at the store. Another thing I really appreciate about the technology that the Home Depot brings is the Home Depot Pro gives you really adds value to your business by making the operational component more efficient, right? So we understand that you as a business owner, you may not have time to be at the store as much. So I really enjoy the text to confirm feature. Real life example, my father was in the Largo, Florida store today, picking up a couple of maintenance repair items for a home that we own together in Largo. And he simply went to the register, gave them the phone number tied to Pro Extra. It texted me the actual order to my phone, and I simply selected number 1, and he was able to leave with the product because we have a registered card on the system. All of this is created for you, the pro, so we can help you be more operationally efficient, more productive with your time, and have even better experiences with us at the Home Depot. So this and many more benefits are there available to you, the professional customer in the beautiful South Florida market. And again, we look forward to continuing to be your partner along this journey of creating financial freedom, adding value to people's lives, fixing and flipping, whatever it is you're doing and you're looking to continue to grow with. We wish you well on that and look forward to being your partner with that. So Anish, at a high level, there's so much more we could talk about. I need a whole 30 minutes, but I covered it here in just under 10.
You know what we might do, Brian, is we'll do another workshop just with you, because I know there's a ton of stuff. I know the 20% of paint is on the spot also.
Right.
So you get that discount right there. But what I was really impressed about that story was that you got your dad to go to Home Depot to work on your project. Pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, he loves Home Depot, and I love him. But the fact that he gets in and out without having to call me is the most valuable thing to me. Not only is the Home Depot the everyday low best price, and we have the best pro brands, we believe the best quality products, but it's the ability to be productive in this business. There's enough stress tied to buying an asset, dealing with the lenders, dealing with this, dealing with that, right? I need to make sure we can get in and out of that store. And that's what the Home Depot does really well. And our data, right? So the second Carlos left, I got a receipt right on my Apple Watch right away.
Wow.
I saw exactly what he bought. And by the way, I was like, Dad, thanks for the Gatorade. Let me know next time. I know a lot more than that, but nevertheless, Anish, thank you for that. And thank you all for your business at the Home Depot. If there's anything I can do to support you, let me know. I'll add my information there as well. And please connect with us. Thank you for your business.
Hey, thanks, Brian. We appreciate it. And of course, we love Home Depot. And thanks for the gift bags, by the way. I hope I could get a swag bag. I wonder if is that cheating?
You gotta spend more. Okay.
Got it. I was like, I wonder if Alexa could cheat for me and let me win one of those bags. But I guess not. Okay. Thanks again, Brian. We appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Oh, so grateful.
So we are back to our main event, which, is the BRRR method. And let me give me a quick second. And of course, I have a new computer and not working that, like where it's the whole.
There it is.
There it is. Okay. So many of you guys, if you've been following with us, Ryan and I are the owners of the Miami-Dade RIA, the BRRR. We've been in real estate for a long time. I've been 20 years or so. Ryan, the same thing. Brian's actually kind of working on one of the rehabs right now as we speak. So, today it's going to be me, Paul, Antonio talking about what a great job and how BRRR. I wish I could roll the R's. I'm like, hey, Paul, can you roll R's?
No, no.
Okay, so we're the two gringos.
Yeah, gringo. Yeah.
That can't do it. So, we're going to kind of jump into it. And a lot of things, like, I know you guys are going to have questions. Put them in the Q&A so I could kind of follow through it. We want it to be interactive. So if you want to go ahead and put in the chat, how many people even know what the BRRR means, or are you actually doing it? So go ahead and put in the chat. I'm always kind of curious to see who's doing what. Or you just heard about it on a podcast, or my favorite is, I've been on Bigger Pockets. They said I should do this. My wife said I should really do something and learn this, right? So, yep, we'll go ahead and put it in the chat. Yep, I see a couple people, Bigger Pockets. Yep, some of you guys know what it is, right? So the B is for buy, right?
Buy.
What's the R going to be?
Renovate.
Yep, renovate or rehab. Rent, right? That's the third. The fourth is refinance, get my money back. You had my money, give me all my money back and then some. And then why not repeat? So we kind of joke about it, and even on that first slide with Alexa, a lot of people forget about the last R. Why in the heck aren't you keep doing this? It worked once. If you do it right, you want to constantly be doing this. So what are some of the pros, right? Let's talk about what are the pros, right? The potential for returns. You get a high return of investment, and you should, if you're doing this right, have a strong cash flow, right? Cash flow is the money you're putting in your pocket monthly. We want to be building equity, right? Every month. What happens, Paul? If
Build equity. The price goes up, the value goes up.
The value goes up, right? And your mortgage goes ideally
goes down.
down, right? Unless you're doing interest only, I get it, right? There's always some things in there, but ideally with interest rates, even today, like we're kind of joking about it, before you guys came on, what are you getting in investors, Paul? Like that are interest rates in general, obviously depending on credit history.
Interest rates can be down as low as 3.49% now, which is going to give you a cash flow. On a properly done BRRR, you get all of your money back out of the property, you have equity remaining, you have positive cash flow, and you got a 3.49 rate. You can't beat it.
Can't beat that.
Yeah. Fire. I don't believe you, Paul. Well, but we'll show you some examples.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because like you don't really, what some of the things even for me was that, I read a lot, there's a lot of concepts out there, but until you actually do it, and you see it, you're like, huh. I remember the first time I did, I was like, huh, this thing actually works. You know, and the numbers don't lie if you do it correctly. Right.
I've taken guys that used to rehab and sell and flip properties, and now they're landlords. Because they've got all their money back out, and now they have positive cash flow and residual income.
Right. And then if you do it properly, right, and you're rehabbing it, it should be updated. So if it's updated and new, relatively, if everything's new in there, you should get great tenants and you should get a good rental. So let's say maybe the market rate's between 1,500 and 1,700. In this market, you might be able to get 18 or 1,900. You may also have a ton of people battling for it. So now you might get that great, you know, W-2 person with, you know, a long history of employment, and you'll get some great clients too. So that's some of the pros out there. What do you think some of the cons are? If you want to put it in the chat, what do you think, what could be some of the issues? Right? Everything's rosy. Everyone's like, yeah, this is fantastic.
I haven't run across any negative issues. There are no negative issues.
I agree with you, but that's as long as if you do it correctly.
Correct.
What I'm going to say, right?
But you know what? Right now, rents are so high that it's hard to make a mistake.
Absolutely. And the last other positive that we didn't really talk about was the economies of scale. So you heard Brian talk about 11 properties. You just heard Paul saying now these guys are a bunch of landlords. So you could increase your portfolio quickly, right? And because you have so many units, ideally, if you're doing this right, your operating costs should go down, right? If you have a property manager, maybe instead of paying 10%, you might be able to get it down to 6 or 7%. Is number one. Maybe you're buying stuff in bulk, right? And you have a warehouse. And what I'm talking about is like, you know, when you have 50 or 60 properties. So you find a sale, you're buying it in, you know, or paint, it's gonna help out. The other thing is the more doors you have, you're spreading out your risk, right? So ideally it might be different markets, it might be price points. So it does a lot of different things for you, right? So what are the cons? It can be, again, these are if you don't do things correctly. Hard money or short-term loans can get expensive, right? You're actually doing the rehab from the beginning and you're looking at someone like Paul, you know, to fund your loan. And if you think you're getting 3.49 on your hard money loan, we're going to have to chat a little bit, right? Or you're not paying any points. So you need to build that factor in, because the other common mistake I always get is that, yeah, I got the loan and it's this rate and it works, but they forget they actually have to make the payment, the mortgage payment, right, Paul?
Yes,
like,
on a monthly basis.
I know for some people, it's really funny. They think, oh no, can't I wait till the end? Generally speaking, no.
Generally speaking, no.
Yeah. So we're going to go, yeah, what we're going to talk about is not the outliers. I'm not talking about the people that Paul has special relationships with. You know, I'd rather talk about your normal, you know, person that, hey, can I pay you at the end? All that interest and points. No. No. So that's why it can be expensive. Again, if you're using the numbers of the 3.49 or 4%, or I thought my banker told me I could get 2.5%. Yeah, but that's your primary loan. That's your 15. So you want to make sure those numbers are correct. Rehabs, right? So this is my favorite, especially with newbies. Project timelines, right? We're thinking, I could tell you in the beginning, even for myself, Paul, I know, Paul, how many rehabs have you done in your career? I know you've been in.
Oh, in 1,000.
1,000.
Give or take a few hundred.
Few hundred, right? And actually, you know what? And it's my bad, actually. I didn't even let you guys introduce yourself, or you want to give a quick 2-minute for both of you guys? I'm just so excited about going into this. I'm like, yeah, let's get to this good stuff. Who cares who's talking to me? No. If you, Paul, you want to kind of introduce yourself?
I bought a house 35 years ago, knowing nothing about renovating it. And actually, I was in the carpet business. I went to a real estate meeting to sell carpet to real estate investors. And it was successful enough that I got out of the carpet business. And between then and now, I've done 300 unit apartment buildings. I've done condo conversions. I've done shopping centers. I bought that first house. I made a few mistakes in it, but I kept plugging away. If you're diligent about this business, there's no way you cannot acquire some degree of self-sufficiency. You just, as I say at BRRR, there's 10% of the people that are actually buying them, and the other 90% are wishing they would. The 10% that are doing it, you can tell how they're doing by looking in the parking lot. And it's a real good way of getting rich slowly, but you end up getting rich.
Yeah, I mean, like what I like about that story more than anything was, hey, you bought your first house. And what's really clear to me is that you actually said you made mistakes. So if you think you're not going to make any mistakes in this business, good luck. That means you're not trying, number one. It's going to happen. The key is you want to mitigate those mistakes on that portion. And you definitely don't want to make mistakes with other people's money, meaning your family or friends' money. They might not be your family or friends anymore. Is probably what I would say. But I mean, it's pretty cool that, you went from selling carpets to, you're talking about 300 unit buildings. And I know Paul for years now. And the cool thing is to know, like, does he really need to do this? I could tell he does not have to. The passion for real estate of what you've done. And I know one of the common denominators that you and I have and Ryan have is to watch people grow and become their own investors is also pretty important too. So Antonio, this is Mr. Antonio Lopez. And I know you could roll the R's too, so don't pick on him.
I can. My name's Antonio. I'm the relative newbie to this gang. I've only been in the business for about about 9 years. I started off in 2012 by joining BRRRR as just a member. And then I became a student. And really through their mentoring and through my associations with people like Paul, I've really been able to not just make a living, but actually thrive and even in this market right now. Yeah. And then, I'm also practicing what we're putting up on the screen, the BRRRR method. And that's why I'm here. I wanted to, like these guys were saying, I'm a big believer in helping others grow and helping others become successful in real estate. There's enough room for everybody in this. So.
Yeah, thanks, Antonio. And so we're talking about the rehab and dealing with project timelines. Paul, have all your projects worked under your timeline?
No.
Every single one.
Every single one. And so often I hear borrowers tell me we're going to do this thing in 60 days. And I smile. And I say, well, good. Then you don't have to worry about the penalties. But invariably, it takes longer than they say. And,
absolutely. And what about all your contractors? They've been perfect. How about all your contractors, guys?
Yeah, everyone's been an angel.
Yeah, right.
They all show up on time. But you end up with good contractors. The key to getting good contractors is pay them on time. If you pay them on time, you get the best contractors there are. And that's the key. That's one of the things I learned was give me a bill on Thursday, I'll pay you on Friday. And Paul, I don't know if you know, with technology, you could Zelle your contractor faster. I do that now. Antonio, that's almost instant. We're picking up the speed, but I agree with you. You got to keep these guys happy. Yeah,
they are like your workhorse, and I'm going to use some. I use some like common sense stuff. I know we get upset because some things aren't working out. It's not going to work very well if you keep yelling at your contractor. I can tell you that, and hold them to some timelines. you said this, right? And when I say hold them, I'm talking about in writing. So I think that was one of the things that I learned was like, oh yeah, hey Paul, you'll finish it by next Wednesday. Cool, all right. I'm pretty easy to work with. And then it's, you didn't show up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on that end of it. So you want to hold the contractors, on timelines written. Do you guys have any best practices that you guys have seen that or use on getting contractors besides paying them on time, which is
If
big?
you're late showing up, I'm late paying you. It's very simple. Yeah.
I like to pass by. I mean, I just generally like to see the work being done. So I'll just pass by unannounced and just, say hi and be like, hey, what's going on? And I might, change some things around, but not really, just kind of keep them on their toes kind of thing. But at the same time, not put so much pressure that they're like, oh my God, this guy, he's always on top of me. It's not like that either, but I do want them to sense that I'm interested in, that I'm a part of this project as well.
Absolutely. And so one of the things I do now with technology is I use WhatsApp. So I make them after they finish, like, hey, I finished tiling. Great, send me a quick video. Right. So that way, it's not like, hey, I'm like, they know if they tell me they finished something, I'm going to ask for a quick video on that portion. Hey, thanks, Antonio. I know you finished it. Cool. Looks good. I like the way it came out, whatever. So it's a good way. I think it's a balance, like the same thing, like you don't want to micromanage them on that. And especially if you're working on multiple projects. The other thing is on your rehab budget. I know it's happened to me, the unexpected issues, whether it's plumbing, you name it. Like, and if you don't account for that, it's going to be an issue, right? So like, that's why we say it's a con. But if you're building all that in, meaning time-wise, expenses, you're going to mitigate your risk. So it's not truly a con, it could be a mini con.
The beautiful thing about this also is even on your mistakes, you break even. And
Absolutely.
I've never had a mistake where I've lost money. No, I've always
not
been
something.
broke even.
Not in real estate, right?
Not real, yeah.
The casino doesn't count. The casino doesn't.
Then again, I remember 2007. Where, yeah.
So the other con, right, could be the waiting period. So there's two waiting periods. One is actually rehabbing, right? So you're not generating income while you're rehabbing, is number one. And then maybe on the refinance, and we could kind of talk about this, Paul, since you're a lender, and it's about property seasoning. So it's depending on some lenders, and I'm going to use some, not all. If you go to your typical, bank, they might say you need to own the property for 6 months to get those loans on it. I know Paul has some special lenders that, it's not just about seasoning. Again, property seasoning, in case you guys don't know, you have to own it for a certain amount so they could take the new value. What are your thoughts on, are you seeing that with lenders? I know that environment's constantly changing.
Yeah, I need about a week of seasoning.
A week.
Oh, it's like a steak. You just got to throw some pepper on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I need about a week.
About a week?
Yeah.
I mean, is it seven days or is it 5 business? I mean,
Yeah.
that's phenomenal, right? Like,
You need enough time to make sure that everything was recorded.
exactly. And why that's important. Again, this is about building your team, right? If you don't have someone like Paul that could tell you that, and you don't factor that in, you might have finished your rehab in 2 months. Something's real easy. And now you're thinking you have to hold 4 more months until you could get your money out. So that is something that you don't need to become an expert at everything. You just need a team of experts on your team.
Yes.
That makes sense. That's probably the easiest way I tell you. Like, even though I'm a licensed mortgage guy, but I've been kind of out of the game. So I'm asking all these questions. Do I know everything about insurance, title? Do I want to know everything about title and insurance? No, I don't. So do I want to learn everything about contracting? I'm not. And one of the things that I see is a lot of newbies, they feel like they have to know everything. The key is to have trusted partners that you trust. And obviously with BRRRR, we have a great network of, contractors, flooring people, lenders, insurance people, all the above. So, and my last con that can be is the appraisal risk, right? Maybe the property doesn't appraise. What are you seeing? Because I know the market's moving pretty quick. Paul, like, what are you seeing on some of your refis? Are you running into these issues right now, or?
You know what? There's a feeling like in 2006, everybody was appraising them at whatever number they came up with. There's a feeling right now that there's prices are escalating so much that the appraisals are getting a little nervous. They're starting to cover, but prices are still going up. It's amazing what people are paying for things. I'm doing a lot of refis on loans that I did a year ago for two reasons. One, the interest rates have come down, which makes it, and also the value has gone up. So they can refi it now at a lower rate without putting any money into it. And they're getting a lower payment, even though, so the rates are, right now, the rates are as low as they're ever gonna get. 3.49 for a no doc loan, no tax returns. That's as good as we're ever gonna get.
What kind of minimum credit score on something like that? No doc means.
No
Not
doc
showing
means,
any
I wanna see 3 months bank accounts to know that you have money somewhere. And if you're doing a cash out, it really doesn't matter. You don't have to have any, what kind of credit score? It's credit score sensitive. The 800 or 780 is like the ultimate number. You can get a 3.49 as low as 720, 700. You're just going to pay a couple of points to get it. You're going to buy down the rate. And when you buy down the rate, it normally takes you 2.5 years to recover the money that you bought the rate down with. And
Right,
so
yeah,
if you're a long-term holder,
if you're long-term, it's a no-brainer.
exactly. And the rates are so low right now that I'm refinancing the stuff I'm doing it on 10-year interest only loans because I'm 66. I figure in 10 years I'll be gone. And so I'm looking at just.
You mean overseas? Where do you mean you're going?
Yeah, I'll be going overseas. Yeah. And yeah, the way I look at it is I'm looking at cash flow now. I'm refinancing them as high as I can, interest only loans for 10 years. And
Wow.
and
So I'm gonna ask you like another, because obviously this method has been around, it seems like forever,
yes.
right? So I know interest rates are low. So eventually, interest rates will go up higher. Just because interest rates are low, it works. It also works eventually down the road when interest rates go higher, meaning, back in, I don't know, was it like the early 90s? Wasn't it like, like 13% or
Yeah.
am I right or wrong, somewhere around there?
Right.
And people were you were doing this, Matt. You've been doing this for 37 years.
Yes.
So I could imagine you refinancing. You're like, oh, I got a great rate of 14%. Thank God.
Well, no, nobody, when they were 14%, you couldn't refinance. No,
Okay.
you couldn't make it work. But remember, they were only at 14% for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And,
So, I mean, but even if it's 8 or 9, I'm kind of joking about that.
Yeah.
But if it's like 8 or 9, I've done it at 8 or 9, actually.
One of the things that goes up though, as interest rate, rents are going up. Rents are higher now than they've ever been. You're getting debt service coverages that you could never get before because the rents are so high. And rents are only going to go higher. They're not going to go lower. And and that's one of the beautiful things about this. If you're into a property, you cashed out all of your money, so you're into it with basically no investment, and the rents are going higher, you're just making more positive cash flow. And I'm not sure how to do ROI when you have no investment in it. And but it gives you these crazy numbers on your calculator.
Yeah, it's saying I'm paying you to do this.
Yeah, exactly. When you start making money off of no investment, you're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, you're on the other side. That's what
You're on the other side, because historically, if you can make 5% on your money, you're doing good. Now, when you make 20% on no money, your wealth comes quickly.
Yep, absolutely. And like I just did a simple example. I'm kind of using HGTV numbers, meaning everything is nice and even. You buy a house for 200,000, it's $50,000 in repairs. Your project takes 6 months, right? So one of the things that you do have to remember, like you do have to get a tenant in there more often than not. I know there's some banks that will actually, you might not have to get a tenant yet. They'll let you go market rent on there. You're gonna have holding costs, right? There's gonna be money costs because you borrowed some money. You're gonna have some closing costs. So in this example, we're using our after repair value at 375 and we're in it for 260. So our total costs are 260, we're in it for 375, and your rent is 3,000 a month. So in general, I know Paul was actually telling me that he's got banks that actually do 80% on the refi, but I'm going to use the industry average of 70 to 75%. And I'm using the rate of a little bit higher of 4.75. I'm not even talking about the 3.5. And your payment's about $1,467 a month, plus insurance and taxes, right? So the idea is you're getting all your money that you put into it. The 281 on this example, of course, you're going to have some closing costs on the refi. You're actually cashing out some money. You're putting all that money that you got in, you're getting that money out, and you should be cash flowing, on this example, anywhere from, depending on your taxes and insurance, $700 to $800 a month. So that gives you like a general idea of, what happens. But more importantly, I'm gonna, have actually show you a real deal that Antonio's working on. That's gonna really get us excited. It's here down in Fort Lauderdale. So Antonio, I'm gonna let you show our audience of, what kind of house, the address.
Okay, cool.
All this other good stuff too. So
thank you. So what we'll do is let me start off with the pictures, right? I want to start off with the pictures. So this is actually the property right now as it is done, right? Like we just took these pictures.
Let's go back. Wait, Antonio, let's go back to what it looked like first.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's what it looks like. No.
Okay. So let's talk about from the beginning. You woke up one day, you found a property. How did you find the property first? Let's go from the beginning.
Okay, so what I did to find the property, the first thing that I did was I went and knocked on the door, right? And there was a tenant there. I was obviously, very nice to the tenant.
Let's go back for a second. Was it a non-owner occupied? You knew it was tenant owned? Was it in foreclosure? Was it a probate?
So it was a pre-foreclosure.
Right. So pre-foreclosure means, in case you guys don't know, if you've been following us for a while, Brian and I, you should know what that means. It means that the homeowner stopped making payments and now the bank served them and they've been served a lis pendens. So that's how we know it's in pre-foreclosure.
Correct. Yeah. So it was in pre-foreclosure. I actually got the address from Refinance. If you followed us on Brea, you should be very familiar with Refinance. And I went over there and I went to go speak with the homeowner. So at first I thought I was speaking to the homeowner, but she was actually a tenant. She promised to forward the information to the homeowner. But nothing ever seemed to, I never got a call, right? So what I ended up doing was
surprise.
Yeah, exactly.
How many people in the chat go ahead and tell me you called a homeowner and they never called you back? I don't know, Paul, this reminds me of when I was single, my dating. I left a couple of messages back on the answering machine back in the old days and I didn't get a call back.
I understand that problem.
I think we all do, right? Yeah, so I left her the information. I never really got a call back. Long story short, I ended up just figuring out the person's phone number. And as I was calling the different phone numbers I had for this person, I ended up speaking to the homeowner's son, right? So I ended up, instead of just knocking, I ended up calling because I couldn't get in touch with the homeowner by in person, right? So I called him up. The homeowner's son tells me, oh, this is my mom's house. Yeah, we know that what's going on. But unfortunately, my mom is not doing so well, right? And so there's even a story behind that, to be honest with you. But long story short, I was able to get everything to them via DocuSign, put it under contract. It took longer than expected to negotiate. So for you guys that don't know about a short sale happens when somebody's in pre-foreclosure. They haven't gotten their houses, or excuse me, they haven't gotten their house taken away, right? So there's still an opportunity to cancel out the debt. But since these people owe more money than the property is worth, right, you have to go to the bank and get them to approve essentially what's a short pay. So to make it simple, the way I like to see it is, if you owe your buddy $100 and you come up to him and you tell him, hey, look, I just got a job, I'm getting back on my feet, I'll give you $50, let's call it quits, right? So that's essentially what I did on the homeowner's behalf for the bank. I went to the bank and I let them know, hey, look, we think this property is worth this much based off of all these factors. This is how much we're offering. And so, fortunately, God has blessed, and I was able to work the deal and negotiate it after lots and lots of trouble, and I got a really great price on the house.
Okay, cool. So let's look at the house. So
Yeah,
you want to flick.
So yeah, this is the house when essentially when I first got it under contract. It was carpeted, different color walls. But as you guys can see, that's not really what's important here, right? Like what's important is the fact that the house doesn't really have like crazy mold. Yeah, it has two different types of floor, right? But the floor isn't ripped up. It isn't absolutely destroyed, right? The kitchen is also in good shape. The plumbing was in okay enough shape, right? And I'm just going to go through these kind of quickly because I know, I want to make sure we save some time here. The good thing about this house is that it was really, really large. It was like a pretty large house, had a storage unit, pretty large backyard. And as you can see, we had to take really detailed pictures of the property again to point out, everything that was wrong with the property. So, these were the bathrooms.
And when Antonio's saying what's wrong with the property, this is the negotiating part with the bank, right?
Yeah,
so you
exactly.
want to get a lower price. So that's what he's saying. There's two different hats. When you're the seller, like I got the best house in the world, right? When you're, when I'm a buyer, like there's all these problems. I kind of joke about this. Paul, you've been doing this way longer than I have. I've never met the person who's got the worst house in the neighborhood. I'm dying to meet that person. And so it's like, yeah, my house is bad, but so-and-so's house is worse. Have you ever met the guy with the worst house in the neighborhood yet?
I've had some. I had a house where the guy was sleeping in a chair in the living room because the roof was leaking in all the other rooms. And here's the crazy thing: when we renovated it, the guy stopped by and he told us what he would have done different. And I've seen some pretty bad houses.
I bet.
If there were worse houses in the neighborhood, I didn't want to see them.
Yeah, I was even surprised it had an extra laundry room, had a carport. I mean, the house had phenomenal bones. It's a good house.
So how many bedrooms and bathrooms?
Originally has 3 beds and 2 baths.
2 baths. Okay. I know we kind of flicked through the pictures pretty quick. What do you guys think? I put in the chat. What do you think a rehab on something like this would cost? The roof was in decent condition, right? You didn't have to do anything with the roof, Antonio?
No, the roof was actually in really great condition.
Okay, so
I wouldn't say great condition. I had to go in there. I had to spend some money on it, on actually fixing it. I don't want to say like renovating the roof, but yeah, pretty much fixing up the roof a little bit.
So I'm looking at the numbers: 23, 25, 50, 40, 25, 190 on the rehab. Uh-oh, I'm worried about that person. 15,000, I'm worried about you too a little bit. 25. Yeah, I know Antonio wishes 15.
I wish it was 15.
Yeah, I don't think it needed new electric, right?
No, I didn't. It didn't need new electric.
That's asking me. So, okay. So we kind of see the house so far, right? So you closed on it. let's go to the next step, right? So we got the numbers from, again, as low as 15. I saw 190. I hope that was a typo. I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe he meant 19,000, you know? Yeah, right. Even 19,000.
And then again, the key is, right, like I know, so what I'm gonna really push here, especially at BRRRR, Miami-Dade BRRRR, I know some of you guys are rehabbers. I know sometimes you may cut some corners. What we're saying is a rehab with permits, all the above. So, you know, I know we're in South Florida. I've seen some things that I won't even talk about that. I was like, whoa. Again, we're talking about what you're going to budget in general. So go ahead, Antonio, keep telling us the show.
So do I give the numbers or not yet?
Not yet. So let's see the rehab.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's.
Oh, wait, no, this is another house. I'm sorry.
Let's go.
Oh.
Let's go to. Let's
Oh,
go
here
back.
they are. Sorry.
Yeah. So
So this-
remember the house outside. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is completely renovated. This is the outside, you know, with the carport.
Does it come with a car?
Nope, does not come with the car.
Yeah, you got a matching car to match your.
Yeah, I got
Good
the
size room.
I got the matching car for the house.
You do that for every one of your houses? What do you got, 9 cars?
Yeah, right. No, I don't have that many cars. But anyways, yeah, this is what it looks like now. I mean, this is a pretty dramatic difference. I don't know if you guys remember. Let me just kind of switch back. You remember, or not remember, but you guys see this wall right here, or this hole right here. This used to be over here, right? And there used to be a door right here. So we went ahead and closed that out because the house was so big. And my intention from the beginning was really to Airbnb it, that I can create 2 units out of this, right? And still essentially have a 3-bed, 2-bath and a 1-bed, 1-bath, right? So just kind of going through it, you know, took my styling cues from off the web, off of my head, you know, wherever I could really.
Yeah.
And this is what it looks like now, you know?
And Tony, someone's asking, did you hire designers? You did this yourself, I know.
No, yeah, no, I didn't hire any designers or anything.
That's a really good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Paul. Shit, that means a lot.
You know what? I've seen a lot. That's a really good job.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, one of the things that I really liked about this particular rehab was that I did two color kitchen. So like you can't really tell because of the picture, but the bottom is actually gray and the top is white. So it just gives it a little bit of contrast.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, I love picking out the artwork. That's probably my favorite part about doing this whole thing. As you'll see, if you know, and the artwork is like, I get it at a great price too. Like everything that I did here was, you know, as an investor, right? Like, even though I wish I could have spent a lot, and I could have spent a lot more money, I always had it in the back of my mind that I have to make sure that, you know, this does work for me, right? Because as far as the BRRRR method is concerned, I think one of the biggest things is not overspending on a property. And it's easy to overspend because, especially as somebody who wants to provide, you know, an excellent stay for people, you know, you start thinking, oh, what would I like and what would I want? Like if you look really close, actually, to the lamps actually have USB ports and they have extra sockets. So in case somebody has like a supercharger, if anybody's aware with, you know, if anybody has like Samsungs, they have superchargers and fast chargers. So if you have that, instead of using the USB port, you could do that. So go ahead.
Nope.
No, I'm sorry. I thought you.
No, when you
were
said
asking a question.
supercharger, I relate to cars because I go.
Oh yeah, yeah, that too. But
Yeah.
in this case, it's for like cell phones. It charges your phone like in 80%. So, and even like the door hooks, you know, this I got from another an actual Airbnb guest that she used to work on yachts, and she told me, you know, hooks are everything. So again, you know, matching artwork in the rooms, you know, you have the couple with the red umbrella overlooking like famous landmarks and stuff. This is also one of my favorite. I mean, every single part of the house I really enjoy. You know, I enjoyed putting it together. The barn doors.
I love the doors.
Yeah,
sliding
this is
So
the
your
barn doors
budget-
to the fourth bedroom, you know? And I still have, if I were to, where that big hole was right here, if I were to put a door here, I can essentially make the property a 5-bedroom house. Right, at least I can market it that way. You know, so yeah. And, you know, like, for example, this place doesn't have closets. So I went ahead and I got, you know, a little rack for people to be able to hang their clothes when they get there. Yeah, and that's it. You know, that's pretty much the entire house. Go
In
ahead.
your budget, what was the difference between budgeting to renovate to sell it and budgeting to make it into an Airbnb?
So the difference was about $10,000, right? Because for furnishings, so because you have to buy the furnishings. What really costs a lot of money, which surprised me when I did it, was the I think they're called the window treatments.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and I'm sorry guys, I just call them shades. But then I call them shades, then what are these things, right? So, so yeah, the window treatments actually surprised me. I was like, wow, I didn't know this was going to cost this much. But yeah, it was like about $10,000, you know, and that included. Go ahead.
No, what I was going to add, because I'm getting a lot of questions on it. So first of all, he did not stage it, meaning.
Yeah, this is how it comes.
Yeah, so he's actually, we're talking about the BRRRR method and we're talking about Airbnb. So we're using two different strategies combined to really get his, you know, cash flow on steroids.
Yeah.
Versus something else, right? So you heard, he already gave the answer. He spent $10,000 on furnishing the house.
Correct.
Have you been able to refinance all of your investment out of this house?
You'll see the numbers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When we look at the numbers, yeah.
So you have no
that's why I
cash
really
invested.
enjoyed what you said, Paul, at the beginning when you were saying, you know, someone who essentially who can repeat this, you know, because that's essentially my goal here is to increase my wealth, right? To increase my net worth, because I could have easily sold this. I could have sold this for, you know, and you guys will see the numbers. I could have sold it, even if I get a number close to that, you know, I would have been, I'd be doing great. But I thought to myself, you know, I eventually want to, you know, go on vacation and like, you know, enjoy myself a little bit more and relax a little bit more. So I'm keeping it, and that's why I'm doing the BRRRR method. I'm refinancing and I'm getting all my money out, then some. And then I'm going on vacation.
If you do 2 of these a year, in 10 years, you'll never have to work again.
Yeah, God willing. Yeah, that's actually the goal, you know, and I'm not a surprise or anything, you know, but I kind of gave it away at the beginning. I have some pictures of another house that I'm actually like currently right now rehabbing.
Yeah, he's on repeat. That's number
I'm
one.
on repeat. Yeah, exactly.
Number two is like, let's talk about the area.
Yeah,
so right, meaning most people, if you're new to Airbnb, so what Antonio didn't tell you was he's been an Airbnb superhost prior on his other properties. So it's not his first Airbnb. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to kind of try it out. He actually had a house in this neighborhood. And I mean, we could kind of talk about that too, was, you know, when the pandemic happened, you know, or it's still happening, when it first started, like every other person, including myself, maybe not Paul, like I was panicked, like what's going to happen? What's going to do this? And he was making great money on the Airbnb. And then I know you were saying, well, no one's going to Airbnb. So he sold it to cash out and make some money on that portion, right? And now that you're in it, and it was close to this neighborhood. So do you want to talk about where, I don't know how many people know where 33311 is, like what the neighborhood in general is?
That's the most, 33311 is right here in Fort Lauderdale. This particular house is right on Northwest 9th Avenue and just shy north of Sunrise. So for everybody, I think it's Sunrise Boulevard. I'm sorry, I don't.
Yeah,
but yeah, Sunrise Boulevard, and I believe it's called Melrose Park. And again, like I was really fortunate to get, you know, this particular property on one of the nicer streets, because it does change from street to street. And in this case, I even have great neighbors. My neighbor called me yesterday because an Amazon box got there, and she called me up and she's like, hey, you know, the box is there. Would you like for me to go grab it? And I was like, absolutely, you know. So that's the type of neighborhood that I'm in right now with this property. It's a really great place. And eventually, what I want to do is I want to add a couple more touches to the house and kind of bring a little bit more value to the neighborhood as well. Such as what is it called?
So what I'm gonna do is, right, I'm gonna, like, in our chat. So some of you guys know where this neighborhood is. It's a 4-2, right? Or 3-2, 4-2 originally. So what price do you think Antonio bought this for? Go ahead,
No
put it in the
cheating.
chat.
You can't go online and look in public records.
I got a 190. What else? 200, 140, 180, 230, 225, 135, 350. Wow. Go ahead, Antonio. Let's start diving into these numbers. Do you want to kind of go into like where we're at of like what you bought it for?
Yeah, so these are the numbers, right? I was able to negotiate the short sale down to 137,750. My renovation expense was 45,000. My holding costs. So holding cost that includes percentage points, processing fee, as well as the percentage per year for those 4 months, and that's roughly $8,000.
So that, like, just so you guys know, that includes like insurance, right? Got to have insurance, water, electric. He was making some payments on the money.
Yeah,
also.
I had to make exactly.
Did you finance your renovation money?
I did.
You did?
I got and I'll say it quickly and then I'll explain it. I got a 90-10 with 100% renovation expense. And so what that means is that I was able to get 90% of the acquisition cost, meaning that I only had to come up with 10% of what I bought it for. Right.
That's
and so
$14,000.
Yeah,
right
roughly
now.
about 14 grand. And then the renovation expenses were 100%. And they were, help me out here, Paul. What is it called? I had to pay for it and then they gave me back the money.
Right, reimburse.
They had to reimburse. It's a reimbursal.
They give you the draws in arrears.
Correct. So there was a ton of, like, I learned a lot off of this property, even though, I'm going to say that I'm really great at finding these types of deals. As far as doing loans and pulling money and doing draws and scheduling this stuff out, with this particular property, I learned a ton and it was great. I loved it. I learned how to do draws and invoices and all this cool stuff. And it was just a lot of fun,
So wait, let's keep going here. Watch. So now, so far, everyone's following, right? He put 10% down, 14,000 and change. We won't even talk about it, but he's using insurance, his life insurance arbitrage of something else that he's using to put that money down. He borrowed 90% from the lender. He got the deal so well and he's experienced, so he turned in his contracting budget. They gave him 100%, that $45,000 for the renovation. He did have to make the $8,000 of payments over the 4 months. Make those payments. The ARV, after repair value, the bank did an appraisal. Guess what? $350,000,
which is 30,000 over what I 20,000 over what I had originally thought it was going to come out at, which is great.
And you know what's cool about that? Like, again, you want to be conservative, right? So imagine Antonio thought it would be 400,000 and now it's only worth 350. And he based his numbers and thinking he's going to get all that stuff out. He's giving himself a cushion, right? Then, where he's at right now, he's refinancing. They're going to do 75% of the after repair value or the appraisal. So you take the 350 times 75%. I know Paul has some lenders that will actually do 80%, right? So in this case, Antonio's happy with the 70%. So he's going to get back $262,500. Yes, there are closing costs, right? So it's going to be about $5,000, $6,000, maybe $7,000 on the closing costs with stamps and all the other good stuff. His new payment principal, interest, taxes, insurance, it's PITI, is going to be $2,100. Right? So
Yep.
you got me so far. New loan 262, 500. I know he's around 4% in change. We found out today Paul could actually probably maybe do better. Sorry, Antonio.
Yeah, I know, right?
Sometimes
Tell me
when
about
I'm
it.
using all your
And I know Paul.
resources-
You know, like I know Paul. It's like,
I mean, we literally went to the baseball game.
But
last
I would do
Yeah.
that for a stranger.
my bad, Paul.
so remember we talked about mistakes?
Yeah, right.
He left a little money on it. I could tell you on his next project, I know who he's going to use. So, but I mean, again, these are things that happen, right? So now he's going to cash out about $40,000 because,
This is done every day.
Yep. And what we didn't put on there is like, if you really count, and I'm going to kind of do the math, his initial loan was about 123, was about what, on that 90%, and then the 45,000 in repairs. So he's in it for like 170. The initial lender has to get paid back their money. And then the difference on that end of it, the difference on that end of it is what he's going to get minus the closing costs. Also, you remember he's got to furnish it, the $10,000 in Airbnb expense.
Mm-hmm.
To furnish the apartment. I know a lot of you guys, again, he's been doing this himself. He didn't hire anyone. He's not a designer. He's, again, he has the experience. I would have spent, because I'm not good at it and I'm terrible when it comes to the design, I would have probably spent $20,000 and overpaid. I know you're like, I love that you're bragging about the artwork. You want to tell them like what you paid for that, like some of the artwork things? That
Yeah, I'll tell you guys, so you guys could do it in your own house. It's crazy cheap. It's like for the really big frames, they're like $25, $30. And I'll even tell you where to go get it. There's a Marshalls and a Ross right next to the Target on Oakland and US 1. That one, they always have good stuff there. Like, and I had to go through a couple of them to find, to really find what I'm looking for. And that one's pretty good. I really like go Marshalls and Ross, and the throw pillows too. I mean, they're great with all that stuff.
And then like, so now, right, like what we talked about, and I think you actually have, and we'll go to that sheet a little bit too, about what normal rents are. So what we figured out, what Antonio figured out as an Airbnb, and he's being conservative on this. Remember, he's been in this area before with other Airbnbs. So he actually has history of what's going on in the neighborhood. So he thinks he's going to get anywhere between $4,000 to $5,000 a month. And that's being on the conservative side. I know during Christmas, I know some of the festivals that go on Fort Lauderdale Beach, you're making, anywhere from $6,000 to $8,000. I have a 5-unit building in Wilton Manor, little 2-1s that normally is $1,300. Last month we got almost $5,000 on a 2-1. That was
nice,
like a shoebox. So the numbers, again, he's being conservative on that end of it. Can you go down a little bit? That's the full thing, right? Is that what?
Yeah, these are the numbers. Yeah.
So if you look at the spread, right? His payment is $2,100. So paying his mortgage, he's going to clear anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
On the Airbnb.
The way I thought about it was, if I can net $2,000 a month, I'm fine, because in reality, a regular rental would probably bring in anywhere between, like $200 to $400 based off of that monthly payment. And that's if I got a phenomenal, and now that rents are high, with a phenomenal person renting my house.
And
so
I just want to clarify that what Antonio means is it rents in this neighborhood about 2,400.
Yeah, between 23 and 24. So
22, and that's at the high mark. So he'll clear, $300 or $400, which is still good. But him being an Airbnb expert, super host, right? That's 5 times his money.
When they refinance it, what did they use for debt service coverage?
regular rent.
Airbnb or 24?
No, they don't use Airbnb. They use, I wish they used Airbnb. They use regular rent.
Yeah, they use regular rent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Market rent.
2,400.
Market rent, yeah, and so even on advanced things, I know there's lenders, if you owned it for 2 years and you show it, I know sometimes they'll count that depending on, some of the lenders out there, they
Yeah,
may.
they'll count a portion of it, but it's basically market rent.
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah, exactly.
So,
go ahead.
before you even switch the slide, so the recap, right? He put 15,000, 14,000, whatever into it. He had $8,000 of payments. He financed his whole rehab. He did the rehab in 4 months. Look how nice it came out, right? I did see a question about vinyl floors. Are they vinyl floors? Antonio?
Yeah, they're wood vinyl plank.
Vinyl plank, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't get real wood floors in an Airbnb.
Not.
No,
Absolutely not. And then, he's cashing out 40,000, right? So now he actually got paid. So that was one end of it. He's gonna clear 2,000 to 3,000 a month. Let's say, being conservative. So that's another $24,000 to $36,000 of income besides the 40,000. Oh, and by the way, someone says $80,000 in equity.
It's
And by the way, someone else is paying his mortgage.
yeah,
yeah.
and that's just, I mean, whatever.
You want to drop the mic? You're done?
No, Mike, no.
In reality, this is an exceptional deal, but they're
Yeah.
done like this all the time,
Yep.
Yeah.
all the time.
And like what I liked about today, like what he's doing is like, again, it's on steroids. Like, look at that cash flow is, instead of 400, you're talking about, 5, 6, 7x on a simple property.
And
It's
I
not-
also
it's
want to
not
add that,
all over the
it was calculated, and like you said, like you guys said at the beginning, it's not like I have a team of people around me that help me figure this stuff out. Right. Like I mean, the artwork and the colors and all this stuff, that's me. That's the type of person I am. But for example, like I have a niche in my corner. I have people like Paul in my corner, right? I have other people like contractors in my corner, and they help me figure this stuff out and give me a better idea of what I can do with the house. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is that like, you guys can do this too, and Paul keeps saying it, this happens all the time.
And here's something else to the members of BRRRR. You have all these people in your corner if you're a member of BRRRR. There's a list of them.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. It's not like I have to go find them. They're there. And
Yeah, if you call us or ask us, I mean, again, we pretty much have everything you need. And what, more importantly, like the cool thing with someone like Paul, he has a lot of experience. You think he's going to lend you his money if you're not going to make any money?
correct.
I mean, Paul's a nice guy.
One of the things I say is, if I won't lend you the money, don't buy it.
Yeah, and it's 100% true.
Yep.
And because like it's easy to get caught up in like, oh, the prices and I could get this. And again, you want to use those conservative numbers up front. I thought that was key that you thought that the ARV or will be around 320, 330, right? So let's talk about, I'm going to kind of talk about on your rehab on stuff, like how everything didn't work out, right? I know there were some things that you tried, like you want to talk about like the Wi-Fi and some of the things that.
Yeah. So, I mean, so the next step for me and during the rehab was to try to automate this whole thing, right? Because, I don't necessarily, even though I want to provide like an excellent experience for the people coming in and doing the Airbnb, I don't necessarily want to, spend my time, I don't know how to say it, having to put up with like customer service and all this stuff, right? Because that's part of being a good Airbnb host. You got to make sure that your people are happy. So what I'm doing now is automating the whole process. And part of that process was to get Wi-Fi light switches installed. And I spent, I didn't spend, but I spent money. But my guy spent, 2 days trying to get these things to fit. And then they told me, oh, we got to break the wall and we have to break into the concrete and it's going to cost us like a week. I was like, no, guys, it wasn't worth it, in necessarily putting those Wi-Fi light switches on, even though they're super fancy and I love them because I could turn it on and off the lights when nobody's there, right? Which is super important to make sure that people understand that, hey, yeah, this house is, there is people, or make it look like people are there. there's no point in building this beautiful Airbnb and then having somebody go in there and mess it up, it has happened to me before, right? I was doing a rehab on a different house, and thank God the rehab wasn't completely done. But there was some folks went in, they broke out the pipes, and from that experience, I've always wanted to put Wi-Fi light switches in my house, but in this case, it didn't work out, and I spent maybe 2 days, which cost me roughly about $400 or $500 on the time that my guy spent on that, which kind of sucks, but it's something that it's part of the growth, I guess. It's part of the experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, my next step.
Can I touch on the other thing that you're working through right now, that insurance?
Oh my God. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, not to go too far into it, all my numbers look beautiful, except for my insurance numbers. They're trying to charge me upwards of like $3,000 because I don't have shutters. And I'm trying to get it down, and I'm actually trying to find a workaround where they give me like a grace period for 30 days. And I'm waiting for my insurance person to actually get back to me tomorrow morning to see if they're going to accept that. And that's a pretty big deal for me, because it kind of changes up the deal in terms of the yearly rate. As an investor, I want the lowest rate possible, just for, so I know it's not going to be a humongous difference in my monthly payment. As a matter of fact, $2,100 is a little bit conservative, but at the end of the day, I really want, I don't know how to put it, kind of like a surgeon, they want to make sure that their surgery comes out perfect. That's kind of how I feel about this deal. I really want all the numbers nipped and tucked perfectly.
And to give you an idea, so like give or take, the insurance is about $3,600. If he gets the shutters, it's going to go closer to 2,000.
Yeah, it goes down to 2,100.
And he's going to spend about 3,000 to 5,000 on shutters. So it totally makes sense. And
so if anybody has any, and I'm sorry, Anish, if anybody has some referrals for shutters, all right, I already got them priced out at $4,800. If you guys can find me a better price, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
and so like the idea is like you want to build that into your budget also. And obviously you want the shutters in case we do have a storm. So there's some things that's part of doing business on that. So even though like now he knows, right? Like on the deal you're working out next, like, hey, why didn't I not price in shutters? Like those are some of the things that he could have either been on the sideline, like, I hope this works out. And again, this is like, it's not perfect where he's at, but each time he does this repeat, he's gonna be like, oh yeah, let me make sure I build that in on the cost. My insurance will be this. So when he's doing those numbers. So I think it's kind of important that I know we try to be perfect. As you get older and you're experienced, you just make less mistakes. But no, don't worry, Paul makes still a ton of mistakes. It's not in real estate.
Age does not have anything to do with the lack of mistakes.
And so like that's some of the things out there too. So actually, do you want to show your Airbnb listing? And it's funny because I think you just put it live today, didn't you, or yesterday?
I've had it up for maybe like a couple of days, maybe, and not with these pictures. I had the old pictures, but just to actually have the Airbnb up and running, to actually have it up, not necessarily to like actually rent it to somebody. So now what I got to do, as far as Airbnb is, it's kind of like Google, where you have to SEO, and SEO means search engine optimization, meaning that your Airbnb listing, I guess Airbnb picks up on like certain keywords or whatever. And so if somebody searches in the area where my Airbnb is at, ideally what I would want is for my Airbnb to pop out first, right? Because if you're at the top of the list, guess who they're looking at first? Guess who they're measuring everybody else by, right? So that's what I have to go in there now. I have to go in there and automate my or not automate, excuse me, it's already late. I got to like optimize my profile. You don't see the Superhost thing here because this is actually a brand new profile, Anish.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because on my older profile was under my name, and so I'm trying to separate the business from the personal. So that's why that's there. But yeah, this is pretty much what it looks like. And so now what I have to do is essentially fill in all the blanks, and get it rented.
So,
me a
so
favor.
Antonio, if I want to do a staycation, and I'm going to tell I need a staycation because the wife drives me nuts. What are you going to charge me? I'm going to break into your house.
We'll talk about that on the side. We'll talk
Do me a
about it at
favor,
Lobster
Antonio.
Bar.
Antonio,
I know if anyone's watching, if you want to go ahead and rent Antonio's place,
Yeah.
and you want to really check it out, stay a night.
I have a question. Antonio,
Yeah.
can you go back to the one where you show your expenses and your profit so that I
Yeah,
can run
absolutely.
something by? So that I can show how this works, because most people are not going to want to do an Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing works if you just do nothing but rent it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still walking away with $40,000 in cash, $80,000 in equity, and a positive cash flow. And
Yep.
that's what the vast majority of BRRRRs are.
Absolutely. And,
It's a whole nother business to be in the Airbnb.
so the idea is, right, you take that 40,000, right? So Antonio's ready now, guess what, to buy a third property using that 40,000,
Yes.
right? Leveraging it. And you saw the situation, the 90, the 10. So guess what? He picked another house in the same neighborhood, right? This is close by.
It's close by. It's not in the same neighborhood, but it's, maybe this one's on 27th, the other one's on 17th. So like roughly 10 blocks away, heading west. And so this one I'm super excited about because this one really doesn't need any work. Yeah, this one really is like in really phenomenal condition. Like let me see. So like the kitchen is in great condition. Initially, what I wanted to do was to rip it up, but this is another story about this house. I actually ended up getting a what's called a first right of refusal, but it was from the county, from Broward County. So apparently Broward County helped the original owner purchase the property. And so in order for me to essentially get a release from the county for that first right of refusal, I had to pay $15,000 flat, right? And then on top of that, I had to pay a percentage based on the amount of that the property increased in value since it was purchased. And when they purchased it, it was worth, they purchased it for like 130 or something. And so the county appraiser was appraising it at 190. So whatever, long story short, I had to pay $15K plus another $43K, which pretty much, it took a big chunk of what it is that I was gonna, on top of what I was gonna pay for the property, it took a big chunk of the equity away. But luckily, I was able to negotiate the property and get a phenomenal deal, and I had enough space to do it. This one comes with shutters, so I don't have to worry about that, yeah, and it's just in really great shape. I actually have my guys, they're not there right now, but they were there today.
Good. So Antonio, because we're on
There's
time,
shutters. Yeah.
what I'm going to do is there's a bunch of questions. So we're going to
Okay.
kind of flick through, some of these questions, and Antonio, you don't have to share your screen anymore. Let me go ahead and kind of, let's see, did Antonio lay the new flooring right over the old tile?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Sean's asking, does she still offer to bring Amazon boxes after you start your Airbnb? Just curious. There's lots of complaints about Airbnb rentals in residential single-family homes.
Yeah, I agree 100%. What you do with that is that you have to set, how do I put it? Like you have to set the tone before these folks even get there. And so part of doing that is reaching out to them, making sure that they read the house rules, texting them, making sure you send the link to them, or if you have it like on a Google Docs, that they go ahead and they look at that Google Doc and then you confirm that they looked at the Google Docs. Not only that, there's also devices that you can use that not control, but they monitor the level of noise. So if they do end up breaking some of the rules, you can always go back and either make a claim, or because they are short-term rental tenants, they don't have the same rights as a regular tenant with a long-term lease. So you can, let's say these people do something excessively negative to your property, you can actually go ahead and have the police escort them out. So yeah, don't mess with
I mean,
me.
the key is like, I mean, I know Paul does it. I do the same thing. You're renovating a house, whether it's Airbnb, talk to the neighbors.
Yeah.
Like, they're your eyes and ears. Like, it's just silly. They're always happy especially if you're renovating, because it's a win-win for them, right?
Correct.
New neighborhood, or not new house in the neighborhood. I know Paul was talking about the house where, I had a bunch of sunroofs in the house where it shouldn't have sunroofs. Or skylights. It's probably not a sunroof, but a skylight, I mean.
What we used to do if we were buying them in, older neighborhoods I would have my guys paint the outside of the houses on both sides. And they supply the paint, we paint the house, the labor, it's a few $100s, and yet it changes the whole neighborhood. It changes your house.
Yeah, absolutely. So Karen's asking, how do you evaluate if a property is a good Airbnb investment? So Antonio, how did you?
I'll be honest with you. I'm a big believer that any property is really a good Airbnb property. And I'll give you an example. My first property that I had, I didn't think it was going to rent, because I was like, I'm not close to the beach. I'm not close to anything. But lo and behold, there's a lot of things around you that you might not realize that are around you, such as hospitals or commercial centers, right? Or other things that you might not realize that people need to stay around that area in order to be able to perform their job or something like that. Some people come out of town. I had one dude that just didn't want to stay at the beach. He wanted to stay away from the beach. So you never really know, until you try. What I can tell you is this, though, chances are you'll probably double up on whatever it is that you're going to make in rental. So
yeah, and just so like everyone knows, it was a townhouse in Miami Lakes, and one of the cool things is that there's a lot of big companies there. They're corporate centers, so the guy was there for training. And what I liked about it was, did you do a 30-day minimum?
Yeah, that's another thing that I did at first, because I didn't want all the turnaround. And I have a specific reason why. I just didn't want the turnaround. I didn't want people like using and abusing my property. I didn't want it to be like a hotel. So what I did was I created a 30-night minimum, and lo and behold, I started getting people that would stay, a month, 2 months. I had one guy who actually, he came in at the peak, and so his pricing stayed at the peak for 6 months. And actually I ended up taking that money and taking it to my family in Cuba.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's just, and,
yeah,
like, it was amazing. I remember exactly when Antonio was like, I'm going to Airbnb. I'm like, what the heck for? Meaning my perceptions were wrong too. I had no idea. I wasn't thinking about hospitals. Unfortunately, people, they're sick. And if they're in the hospital for a month, I mean, how many people want to stay in a hotel? Or if it's nurses or training. I know there was a guy that I know that rents near where pilots trained. They're there for a month. So there's a lot of different things besides the obvious if you're thinking, oh, the beach and I need a mansion and all this other stuff. So again, you could see this was a lower end neighborhood, and you're talking about some pretty crazy cash flow. Let's see, Raphael's asking, will there be a discussion about considering property managers to deal with tenants, and how early in the journey should this be part of the strategy?
So as far as property management, that's always something to consider. So I have actually, and it depends how active this person or these group of people or this company might be. For this example, once you get the property automated, like for example, once somebody makes a reservation and they get their automatic code that only they know, because whatever. They're the only ones who get the text message or whatnot, right? All of that. What really makes a big difference as far as the property manager is concerned is like I was saying at the beginning, like setting the person up for success, making sure that they have read the rules, right? And moreover, before they leave, to make sure that they help the cleaning lady be able to set up before she leaves. So letting them know, hey, you know, this is the day before, you know, before checkout. We just want to make sure everything is okay. We want to make sure it was a 5-star experience. So there's other property managers that will actually go and meet with the person when they arrive there. But obviously that's going to cost you a little bit more money. So property management is always something, you know, like that's something I want to give away this job, right? Like, because essentially that's what it is at first. It's a job. So that's something always to consider right at the beginning. The thing is how involved is this person or this company going to be in that, right? That's what you want to consider, because obviously that's going to increase. The more involved they are, obviously the more it's going to cost you, right?
Yeah, and in general, if you don't manage it yourself, I know you're doing some of these things yourself and you have a team, but the industry average property managers are usually for Airbnb 20 to 25%.
Mm-hmm.
So usually regular property managers on a regular rental is usually anywhere from, depending on how many units, it could be as low as 7 or 6%, but if you have 1 or 2 units, it's usually 10%. So there's some things on that. But again, Antonio's advanced, you know, he's using virtual assistants, he's using technology. There's a lot of moving parts that he does. He gets additional money. We didn't even talk about for additional guests,
Mm-hmm.
but there's some money makers within the Airbnb. If you actually check out our YouTube channel, Antonio and I actually did a full 90 minutes on short-term rentals also. Let's see, Christine, did you have to go to the city to get the Bed Bath reconfigured? Permit.
Yeah, so you want to make sure you always get permits for everything. And I know there's some questions here for the rental license. That's also very important, guys. You want to follow the rules.
Yeah, and that's what you got to check with your city.
Correct.
My 5-unit building in Wilton Manor, we don't need a license. You just have to register. So the trick is, if it's over 4 units, at least where we're at, all you have to let them know is, hey, we're doing this. Again, make sure you check with your city. You know, if you're going to use the short term. If not, what Paul said, just do a regular rental. Look at the numbers, right? You know, everyone's not cut out to be an Airbnb superhost or wants to be in it. But to actually, I mean, I can't imagine Paul running an Airbnb by himself.
No.
Can you, I mean, what would the, I'd be
That's
scared
a
to see what the
job in and of
design.
itself. That's a job in and of itself.
I think your design, I'd be kind of like if you have a motorcycle, a tie-dye, t-shirts. I don't know what kind of design you'd probably have a theme, I think, Paul.
You know, those are the ones that make the most money too. The themed
I
ones.
hate Ashbury.
I know, Sandra, you're asking about how we were negotiating with the bank. That was a different, we've done webinars on that. And, you know, we teach you how to actually negotiate with the banks to get better pricing on getting short sale. It's a whole different strategy on acquiring properties. So that's something that's a little bit different. And that's pretty much most of the questions. Paul, I know we're kind of like, we're actually pretty good on time, actually. Anything that you would say that, I don't know, like if I'm new and I
Make
want to try this
offers.
method.
Make
like-
offers.
Okay.
And I would say make offers, and you'll find out from either Anish or myself whether or not it's worth buying. I used to say, a long time ago, we used to say, we put in 50 offers and hope to get one.
Yeah.
And you get thick-skinned and
Yeah.
people say no, but every
Paul,
now
I
and
think that, are you talking about real estate or your dating life?
then-
Look, I think I'm actually making them blush.
Yeah. In real estate, yeah. But if you get too many yeses, it means you're bidding too high.
Yeah. But let me play devil's advocate on that. If you get too many yeses and the numbers make sense, are you okay with it?
Yes, you're okay with that. Yes, as long as the
Meaning-
numbers make sense.
Meaning, because this could be a long-term strategy. And I don't know if some of your guys are doing this, but maybe that's, if you really know your numbers, you're okay with maybe overbidding if the cash flow makes sense.
Correct.
Like I know Antonio, like based on this house, and let's say he's against me, right? We're bidding on the same house. Antonio knows his numbers on his Airbnb. So he might actually pay more, he will pay more than I will, right? Per se, he could if he was going
I
on it.
wanted to, but
Yeah.
probably not.
I know you don't.
My most successful buy and hold clients buy Class C properties and they rent them out.
You want to
Because
explain
the
Class
return
C?
on equity you get in a Class C property is the highest.
So because you're, you know, you're a real estate, you want to explain what a Class C is versus A, B, and C?
Yeah, as I tell people, if you have $1 million and you buy $1 million house, you'll rent it out for $4,000. If you take that same $1 million and buy 10 little cheap houses, you'll rent them out for $1,000 a piece. You'll end up with $1,000 or $10,000 income. Your greatest return on investment is for a lower end property. And it just is, historically it is. The shame of it is lower end properties rent for a higher percentage of income than upper end properties.
Yeah, and some of the things we didn't even really talk about, but you could add like these lower end with Section 8.
Yes.
You want to talk about, I know you have borrowers, I was a Section 8 guy, where it's you wake up in the morning on the 1st and there's always money there.
Exactly, it's deposited. And as of right now, it's deposited by the government. In a couple of weeks, we're not sure if the government's going to be sending out those checks. But as of right now, the Section 8 housing is the securest investment there is.
Absolutely. And
without
like,
much work.
And since Paul's a financial guy, so I'm going to ask you this on the other end of the question, right? You're reading the news and all the prices are going up, meaning inflation. What do you think about the hedge of real estate, against inflation?
Inflation is the greatest thing for somebody that holds real estate, and leverage and inflation will make a man rich. If you only have 10% of the equity in the property, if you buy a house for $10,000 and it goes up 10%, you've made 10% on your $10,000. If you're leveraged 90%, you've doubled your money on the same inflation.
Yeah.
Inflation gives you, it's leverage, and inflation makes people rich.
Yeah. And so it's just funny because you always say, oh, inflation. So inflation's, I would say, negative if you're the working man and you don't own properties or equity and you're not using leverage. And when we say leverage, we're talking about other people's money.
Yes.
It could be private money. It could be lender money. It's pretty crazy. And I guess we didn't even if I did the math quick enough, I guess, Antonio's cash on cash, right? He put 15,000. I think your calculator will break besides the equity. He's almost looking at, his
400 something
cash.
percent or some stupid.
And if you do, for my advanced financial nerds, your IRR, internal rate of return, the numbers are astronomical.
Here's the other advantage to inflation. If you borrow $100 and you have 5% inflation, you pay that $100 back with 95 cents, 95%. Every year that it goes up, the dollar that you pay it back with is worth less. So not only does your property go up in value, the dollars you're paying your mortgage with are worth less.
Man,
Yeah,
that is
that makes
good.
sense.
You're hearing it here first from Paul Regan telling you that inflation is good.
Inflation is good for people in real estate with leverage.
Well, I think you should have a flipper loans for inflation's good. Ask me how.
Yeah, right. That would be great.
It is good. It
That's
is
a good
good.
idea.
Yeah.
And that's why, I want to bring that up because people are always worried about, I know we're in a hot market, prices are up. Again, the numbers, we talked about the rents going up on that portion. So, and since the interest rates are so low, it's okay to an extent, right? Again, you're not, we talk about different strategies, right? We talk about wholesaling, you need some quick money, cash. What we're talking about with this method is long-term growth, wealth. And then I always hear it all the time. I know you hear it, Paul, Antonio, I want to, generational wealth. I want to pass it on to my kids. Or maybe Paul, I know you love your grandkids more maybe than your kids, but that's what I always hear from
talks
grandparents.
about that all the time. Carl Fisher with Camel Plan, with the Roth IRAs.
Yeah, so there's a
he
lot
put it in
of
perspective. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. But that's what I'm saying is there's a lot of different things. If you're not building generational wealth, this is how to do it. And again, like, Antonio, like, this is one simple property in your backyard. This is not like on YouTube and in whatever X place, and this is not possible. Literally, he just finished this. And that's why I was excited to, instead of me just talking about, hey, this is what you could do, we're showing you real things. And, if you want to, again, use this Airbnb house, maybe they'll Airbnb it at your, and they'll be part of your cash flow, Antonio.
Imagine if you don't do 2 of those a year with inflation in 10 years. The equity you're going to have, the net worth you'll have.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
And
that $90,000 that you now have in equity is going to be $270,000.
yep. And right, like it's like as you're paying it off, if you do a 10-year loan or 15 or whatever that is, guess what you're going to do again? You're going to refinance it again.
Yeah, I'm going to refinance again. Yeah.
Yep.
And not to be the nerdy, like, and again, I'm not an accountant, so I got to give you all my disclaimers, but you're not going to pay taxes on a loan. So it's relatively tax-free money as long as you keep this.
Did we talk
Another
about that
big thing-
as the benefit, as one of the benefits? Yeah, right.
We didn't talk
Did
about
it?
it.
Wow.
Here's another real benefit. In 10 years, when that house that's now worth 350 is worth 700, you can refinance that and take that equity out tax-free.
Income. Yeah.
That you're paying no taxes on it until it's finally sold. So it's tax-free income. And,
Yeah.
And that's what it like. So, the idea, I know we gave you a lot of information today, right? So everyone take a deep breath. Don't freak out.
Right.
It's too much information on that end of it. I could speak, especially like I know Antonio, when he first started, I could speak for myself 100%, is that it feels overwhelming until you take the first step. Like do one thing at a time. And like, that's what we're talking about, the tax benefit. So these are all different things that you got to do. Like, and what are you waiting for? Like, I'm just like, and again, this method you could do in all markets, right? So we're not just saying South Florida. The Airbnb numbers are pretty crazy. Our rental numbers are pretty crazy, but you could do it in cheaper markets, or secondary markets in other states. But you need a team. So I think that's pretty important too. So anything last things that Antonio, you want to,
I would
talk
just
about
say, I would just like give everybody advice is, find yourself a mentor, find yourself somebody who has an idea of what they're doing and copy success.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I have my own mentors too. I have my own masterminds. I know Paul's circle of influence is like a super mastermind of guys that all they do is, joke around and, oh yeah, by the way, we just made, $1 gazillion. So, like I kind of always crack up on that end of it too. So. Paul, any last thing that you want to,
No.
you might as well, you want to plug like flat out what you do. I know you don't, not only do refinances.
When you need money, come to me. I find the money for you. It's, I know where the money is and I know how to make leverage and inflation work for you. As you can see, evidently, Antonio has made leverage and inflation. He'll turn it into generational wealth.
Absolutely. Or I know what else he's going to turn. He's a car guy like you. So I know he's been eyeing that Ferrari. I said, let's get you 5 or 10 houses.
Yeah, I invest in motorcycles,
So absolutely. So again, I want to thank everybody. I know we ran a few minutes long. I'm hoping that you guys got a lot of really good stuff. These are deals that are happening in your backyard. Paul, is without a doubt, he's a friend first. I pick his mind all the time. He's been through a lot. If you actually checked out like on our YouTube channel, I actually did a 90-minute with Paul on hard money. And we actually talked about, it's not all been rah-rah, on his stuff. I asked him some tough questions of how much money he lost. Can I just bring up one of the biggest moments that kind of changed my life on when I asked you a question, if you don't mind, since you
Go ahead. You can ask me anything.
Yeah. So the question was, what I asked him was, how much money did you lose when the market crashed?
And I told you $10 million.
So you heard right? He said
Yeah.
10 million. Not, like $10 million. And I did the whole gasp. I was like I wanted to throw up. I only lost a couple million, but I was like, I wanted to throw up and, I wanted to be sick. Do you remember what you said after that? Which this
Oh,
is the point that really got me. So he goes, Anish, yeah, it sucked. I lost 10 million. But because of the business I'm in real estate, I was able to lose 10 million. Oh, and by the way, when the market rebounded, I more than doubled it.
Yeah, that's it. And remember this, I had 0 when I started.
Yeah.
0. And
So, but like to me, like you always think about your losses, right? You're like, oh, I don't know, this happened, and Paul's seasoned. So things happen, in your life. You got to get off the sidelines. What's going to happen then? But I thought, if you would have asked me 10 million, I would have been done. I lost 3 million. So I was like, oh, I'm done. But I wasn't done, right? Like I said, yeah, now this is amazing that it's been this business for me in a 10-year turnaround. I've been able to do some of the best things in my life right now.
yeah, because of this business, I was able to lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it never, like that hit me hard. I use that. So I do quote you on that because I was like, wow. So it's just a number, by the way, guys. So 10 million, 100,000, 10,000, it doesn't matter. On that, you're going to have some learning lessons that you're going to have to, and you're going to have to mitigate those too. So
I have friends that lost multiples of that. Yeah.
So again, I want to thank you guys. Hopefully you give us a nice Google review. If you email us too, like obviously Paul's information's on there. You could always call our office. If you need Paul's information, it's on our website. Antonio's around also. I know he just put his social media on it. When you're under 40, you're active on social media, not like an old guy like me. So
Son.
yeah. And the thing is, hopefully you'll give us good Google reviews if you liked it. The other thing is, if you email our office with Alexa or myself, if there's other topics that you guys are interested in, we gladly do this. Like we're even sometimes having trouble coming up with topics that might be interesting for the group. There's enough room for all of us to make money. We're cash buyers. We have a coaching program. I saw some questions about self-directed IRAs. I do that. The other day we talked about life insurance and insurance arbitrage. So a lot of cool things that we've been up to. So again, thank you guys for spending the evening with us. And I know some of you guys are baseball fans, so you're watching the wild card game. We'll catch you guys at our next event. So thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Paul.
thank you for having me, Nish. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. It's
Later,
always a
Paul.
pleasure being here.
Absolutely. Me too.
Bye.
Should we wave bye? Good night, John Boy. Hey.
Wait, roll the R's for everyone, Antonio.
Oh, that Latino.
There you go.
Paul sat back. Did you see that, Paul?
Yeah.
You guys,
There you go.
I'll see you guys. Thank
Take
you
care.
again.
Yep.
Goodbye.